very dear to me and both CRPs, because I started my career in 1972 with the late Dr. Leland House on sorghum and millet breeding, and then I moved to food legumes to collect food legume germplasm in the Fertile Crescent and the highlands of Afghanistan to collect wild relatives of chickpea, which I was happy yesterday to see that some of these are important sources of resistance to the heliosis. So I think these are very dear to me as a legume breeder. I'm so happy to see that we are having more partners involved in these challenges that we have in front of us in the two CRPs. The importance of these two CRPs stems from the fact that we have now an open partnership. There are so many expertise that we have in the national programs, as well as in the CG advanced research institutions. I'm glad to recognize here that we have the president of Agropolis, Dr. Bernard Hubert, colleagues from CIRAD and others. I'm glad to have also here the Deputy Director General for Crops from ACR, Dr. Data, and others who are with us here with the private sector to be able to put the work plans. One thing I have to mention that we have really too many meetings, and it is now time to work on the ground. We are fed up with these meetings, I'm sure you are, and it took a long, long way. I don't want to really go on the reasons behind that, but certainly it is now the time to hit the road and go. And I honestly tell you, the less meetings you have, the better, but certainly the importance of this meeting stems from the fact that we want really to work in harmony, and we really want to capitalize on the complementarities that we have with the various partners. Now, two things I want to mention, or three things I want to mention about these crops. When it comes to grain legumes, we know very well that they are high in protein. Some varieties have up to 38% of protein. They are high also in lysine, but they are low in sulfur-containing amino acids. Cereals, on the other side, they are low in protein, low in lysine, but high in sulfur-containing amino acids. So combining both of these in a diet will give really a fully balanced diet, which is very nutritious. So working on these crops that are adapted to harsh environments is so important for the poor who cannot really afford getting food from animal sources. And therefore, the value of these crops is tremendous. Coming back again to grain legumes, we have a problem in many developing countries with the mono-cereal culture. Because of the fact that governments over years, they are giving subsidies to cereals, food legumes have been neglected. And honestly, one aspect that we are trying to work with the policymakers is to give subsidies to food legumes as well. Because the cereal monoculture are reducing the fertility of the soil, in some places contributing to land degradation, and therefore, the nitrogen fixation trait of the food legumes certainly will restore some of this fertility. And I'm glad that these CRPs will focus on these aspects. The other point, which has been really mentioned by other colleagues, the fact that these crops are so important to cope with the implications of climate change. Climate change will affect the dry areas the most. And when we say really dry areas, we are really talking about 40% of the Earth's surface. And 2 billion people live on that part of the land. And at the same time, 16% of those living on this land are really in chronic poverty. Therefore, working on these crops, we know very well that the climate change will reduce water availability in dry areas, more frequent droughts will be there, higher temperatures, shorter growing season, and new emerging diseases and insect pests. And these crops, by nature, because of their evolution over years, they have been adapted to low environment, I would say harsh environments, as well as very, I would say, low fertility in some cases. Barley, for example, can survive and give you a crop, with 150 millimeters only if the water is fairly well distributed. And therefore, we are really dealing with miracle crops that are not really attractive to the private sector, and therefore we consider the role of the CGIAR in working on these crops is so crucial and so important to the low-income people, because they are really so important for their nutrition. I really don't want to take long, but I would like certainly to thank all of you, our partners from the national programs, particularly who came all the way through here to share with us their experiences and contribute to the important goals that we are all looking for. And I would like also to thank our sister CG centers, particularly Dr. Wilidar and his team for organizing this, because ACRISAT is leading these two CRPs. I would like also to thank our dear friend Dr. Gansen Blanchard, who's really coming to represent the consortium board. And I would like really to thank as well Dr. Frank Regisperman, who is really the Chief Executive Officer of the Consortium Office, for being with us in this important event. Thank you again, all of you, of course, recognizing the importance of the coming days to come to put the work plan to hit the road and go. Wishing you all the best. Thank you.